Hi everyone. For those of you who know me, hello. And for those of you who don't, hi. For the first time, I am Julie. It's kind of weird to think about me making a video that could possibly reach the entire world one day, but that's kind of my hope, so I hope you like this. Um, to begin, I've been thinking deeply about the world, just like a lot of you around me. It's pretty scary out there, I would have to say. Um, a lot of things are going on that I don't understand. But there's a lot more that I do understand, I think, than I don't understand. But I guess what I wanted to do was share a lot of what I think as truth to the world, in hopes that maybe someone else can understand where I'm coming from. And if nobody does, then nobody does. But I'm going to stay believing the way I believe, and nothing can shake that. So let's begin. Did an outline here of basically you've got politics, religion, love, peace, right? Those are the basic subjects that someone would talk about when they're running for president. And then we got money, and then the other thing I thought about was that we have the material world or the spirit world. Like we have this elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, so let's talk about it. Isn't you know isn't that what we're here for? Is to live life and explore and understand and learn and grow, and I just don't understand. So, anyways, in politics, right? So that's probably where we should start. I think that that would be the best, because they're the leaders and they are the government, and that is, you know, why a lot of us do what we do and abide by the rules that we abide by because our government has set them in place. Okay? So whether or not you agree with the government, they're there, right? And you got to listen to them and you got to do what they say, or else you go to jail or pay some fines or what have you. But uh, or I mean, worst case scenario, you behave like an idiot, you're gonna get shot like one. Like, I don't understand that. But okay, so we got the United Nations, right? What are they doing? Does anybody know? Does anybody know what the heck the United Nations are doing right now? Why 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 is there not a global outrage that the United Nations is claiming since 1945 that they are the most effective in peacekeeping? Okay, well, let's go back in time. Since 1945, there have been a crap ton of innovations. One of them that stood out to me was the Prozac. Okay, so we invented Prozac, right? That's a temporary fix to a permanent problem. That's a very temporary fix. That's like taking a band-aid and putting it over a cut that you know needs stitches. It's not going to heal properly. It's probably going to get infected. Who knows? You might get gangrene. There's a lot of things that could go wrong with just doing that in your physical body. So I could imagine doing that with anything else would be just the same. So basically, what I think the United Nations is doing to us is they are lying. Plain and simple. They are not here for peace. They are not. There's no way. They love the money, just like the rest of them, and they do what they can to make themselves look good. What a better plan, right? So let's start talking about, this this conflict that we're having around the world. Like, I'm not going to wait for the United Nations to solve world peace. I'm going to go find it myself. Okay? So the United Nations is clearly not doing, what they say they're doing, and they're trying to find world peace. But I mean, you've been around since 1945. I was born in 1992, and I already got a better idea of what the hell is going on than they do. So clearly, there's something I'm missing. Please tell me if I'm missing something. Please, somebody stop me. If there's something in here that I say that is completely out of line and that I say something that is wrong, please correct me. But you know what? This is where I stand. So we break it down from you got politics and then it goes religion. Okay, the two worst subjects to talk about. Why does no one ever want to talk about it? Because it's such a I would say that politics and religion inspires the most amount of emotion out out in public. It's very hard for someone to conceal how they truly feel. when it comes to those two things, because a lot of people feel very strongly that they are right and no one else is. So what I wanted to point out was that everybody is right. Okay? Everybody is wrong. We are somewhere in between right and wrong. And guess what? Every day it varies. So today I might be really, really right, and tomorrow I could be really, really wrong. But all I know is that when the end of the day sits, I'm the one that has to deal with me. You know, I put my eyes to sleep, and they are the ones, my eyeballs are in my head. Why do I care about what is going on anywhere else? Well, because I care about people. And that's the difference between a lot of people in this world, is that I am like a population of people, I'm sure I'm not alone, that we are empaths, we care, we love, we do everything in the world that we can physically and mentally and like whatever we're capable of, we're going to do. And, you know, if that means giving the shirt off of our backs, that means giving the shirt off of our backs. But there are plenty of indigo children, and there are plenty of crystal children and rainbow children. There are all sorts of spirit guides around the world to help you. And there are so many, you know, different facets of religion to talk about right now. But I think what would be the most beneficial right now would be to talk about Jewish Christianity, because I think that that's really where it started. All it was back in the day. We've got two religions right now. We've got a war against Islam, and we got a war against Christianity. For those of you who don't know, this is simply not a battle of the flesh. There's no way. This is obviously something deeper, and I think we're going to get into that a little bit. But we have Jewish Christianity, and then we have Muhammad, which is, you know, the Islam version of Jesus. So I think it's really important to know that either, you know, whichever religion that you associate yourself with most, there's a greater message to be heard, you know, other than God doesn't like what you're doing and he wants to kill you. Okay? Simply put, we all know that, you know. We know God doesn't like certain things that are happening, and there's, you know, lots of it going around, just like in the days of Noah. It's everywhere. But how do we successfully combat the human condition of sin, right? The sin is also known as imperfections. So for those of you who are watching that don't feel comfortable with the word sin, I'm just going to use the word imperfections. Okay? It's a lot easier to understand when you look at it from a different point of view. But the imperfection that we have is, you know, it's just a cycle. It's I don't know if any of you know anything about abuse, but most of the time it starts off generations back, and it starts off, you know, with whoever touches whoever, and then that person goes down, and either that or the bully bullies someone, and then the victim later on in life becomes the bully. So it's literally just a rite of passage, I guess, in our generations to be victimized or to be put you know, down. And it's almost like people are using that nowadays, like, oh, be careful who you bully. Well, why can't we just move past that and just love and forgive? Because that's the ultimate message of life, I think, is that we can love sacrificially because we have free will. And we can choose who we sacrificially love. And I think that a lot of people are sacrilegiously loved. And there's a huge difference. There are people that are loving for the wrong reasons, and there are people that are doing things for the right reasons. There are lots of people doing lots of different things. But what we have to understand is that God's ways are a lot higher than our ways. And we might not ever, you know, get to the bottom of why all this war is happening. But I think what's the important message is that no matter what we all want, we can't turn our backs. You know, we can't just, you know, step away from this earth. We have to live here. I'm only 24 years old. I got a long time to live, guys. This is not going to continue. There's no way. I'm not, you know, this isn't fair to me, first of all, and I'm not selfish, so I know that there are plenty of other people that could stick their hand up right now and be like, I think this world is bullshit. This is stupid. Like, I wasn't asked to be born. I don't remember asking to be born, first of all. And to be born into this earth and be around all these, liars, for example. I can't stand them. But the idea is that eventually we all can live in peace and harmony. So, how do we get there? Love is the answer. That's my simple answer, and you can stop now because that's pretty much all you need to know is love is the answer. And if you can love unconditionally, then you're good, Cool, I took up 10 minutes of your life. But there's more than just love, There's there's this thing that a lot of Islamic terrorists, I guess you could call them. I'm not sure what the best word for each civilization is that I'm talking about, so I do apologize if I offend someone. However, I hope that you can understand that what I know is that jihad it's a struggle. So a jihad would be something that you struggle for to achieve heaven status. I don't know really how to put that. I think that jihad would be maybe more or less a sacrifice. I think that jihad and sacrifice are two very similar words. They're almost synonyms, but they're not quite. However, I did find that jihad is not a pillar of the Islamic religion. So these people who are, over in the Mideast, they understand that what people are doing around them they understand that people are wrong. And the thing is that God may have told them to do what they're doing. And you know what? I don't know who looks like the asshole. Do we as Americans look like assholes for not believing them? Or do they look like assholes for killing us for not believing them? I think it's just another vicious cycle that we're never going to be able to end unless we cut right through the middle of it. So if we took this whole, earth and we made it like a pie or something like that, and we just like kind of cut it up into sections, we've got a lot of different ideas that we can put and fill in this pie of different, groups. There's many different ways to categorize the world. But if you categorize the world into half, right? First, you got half of the people. It's not exactly half, but that's a good number to start. Half for make believe numbers. Ready? Half of the world love, half of the world hate. The hate and the love cannot abide together. It's just not possible. Okay? Just like when there's light, there's not darkness. You can't have both. There's one or the other. It's like that. So with hate, there is no love. There is not an ounce of love and hate. However, the hate is what's feeding the animosity. And the animosity is going way back in time, all the way before we were even on the earth. And all we're doing as humans is just creating a vicious cycle. And this cycle is turning into a psychopath. And the psychopath is going to be a psychopath. Do we understand what I'm trying to say one day? Is that we as society are creating psychopaths. We are the ones creating monsters and are not, this isn't to everybody, but there are people, I know that are going to be listening to this that are rude and they are mean and they are so mean. But they don't want to look at that way. There's no way you could ever prove them wrong. And I don't want to prove them wrong. I want to prove them right. Everybody wants to feel validated. Everybody in the world wants to feel validated. And at the same time, not everyone is going to be validated. However, that's not up to me. That's not up to you. We're not here to judge. I think that everybody judges themselves. And whether or not you admit it, you're always judging yourself. But I think what's important to know is that we sometimes don't know what we're doing, and we don't know why we're doing it, but we do it. Sometimes I say mean things, and I don't know why I say them. Then I want to blame someone. Like, that wasn't me. I didn't say that. That was not me. And it's like, no, that was me. I said that. Yeah, I guess I did. But we blame God is what I think I've done a lot in my past. It's like not necessarily things that I've said, but things that have happened to me. I've turned around and pointed the finger quickly at God or Satan. It's so much easier to say, oh, Satan made me do that. Or, yeah, God, yeah, it was God. Well, no, God is mostly the answer, but he didn't, God didn't inflict pain on us. You know, pain is temporary, first of all, but pain has a deeper meaning, I think, than a lot of us understand. And if you're into double meanings and deep meanings, go look up what pain means. And it's very interesting to see the relation between pain, death, and life, and everything around it. But it's enough of the depressing talk. This talk is really getting me upset because this is a lot of serious stuff, and I feel like I'm talking in circles, but a lot of it I think is important. So I'm gonna keep going. Hopefully, I don't have to edit it. But we need we need religion, love, and peace. Okay, they these jihadists that are claiming that in Allah's name they are killing people. Okay, they may have in the beginning, a long time ago, had permission to do what they were doing. However, throughout the time, their ego has been fed, and just like another pattern in life, their ego has come to bite them in the ass. There's examples of things like this that happen in the Bible. Let's talk, for example, about Noah. So, a lot of us just know that some very simple facts about the Bible and religion, and we just know, that there's hope and we're not lost. And Jesus is coming back one day, and everything's gonna be better. But the how I think is what a lot of people are wondering is how how can this even happen? We've got terrorist attacks happening on American soil, and we've got American terrorist acts happening on Iranian soil and Iraqi soil, and not just in one little place like it was in the United States. The United States is creating terror all over the world. It's a sad fact. It's true. There's nothing we can do about it. We're not just gonna all jump up and leave the United States because that would be nuts. And we can't start a riot because that would completely feed the wrong wolf. So it's kind of like a paradigm that we're stuck in here. And to solve the paradigm, I've done a lot of deep work and a lot of deep thinking. But my next idea is that peace doesn't mean you agree with me. It means that you recognize that we're all imperfect. You know, peace and love. You don't need love to have peace, and you don't need love. You don't need peace to have love. They're two separate things, but they coincide with each other. And I think that it's important to realize that the purpose of religion was to save the world. You know, to save humanity. But somehow through theologies and doctrines and semantics, we've basically um, created a large amount of blasphemy. I think as a nation, we should be ashamed of ourselves, and I think as a human race, we should be ashamed of ourselves for the way that we have turned our backs to God. Now, that doesn't mean all of us. I know I certainly did at one point in my life. I admitted to my pastor I didn't believe in God. I truly I truly felt like he was there, but I just couldn't hear or see him, and I didn't know what he was. So I just said, no, I don't think he exists. It's easier to say he doesn't exist than have to think about why he exists, because that's a lot to think about. And I didn't have time to think about it, and I don't think I wanted to think about it. I thought it was pretty scary, and it was, it wasn't an easy. Faith is not easy. Let me tell you that much. Um, faith is faith is believing in what you can't see. So, there's other things, of course, that can validate our faith, and there's other things that can verify what we're believing in is true, and we're going to have to live those through ourselves. So those things are called priorities, priori, and experiences basically that you're going to have throughout your life that make things real to you, and they're true, and they're not make believe stories. They are the truth to you. Now, I don't know if any of you follow science, which is not actually one of these outlines, but I'm going to talk about that real quick. Science, religion, love, peace, politics. Science, I think, is the study of why we do what we do. Science and psychology come hand in hand with a lot of these, religion, politics, love, peace. But I think that most importantly, science is proven a lot. Let's take, for example, the fact that science is now proving that there's an afterlife. Okay, now what? We got a lot more to figure out than there's an afterlife. Like, we've got lots to study. But the thing is that because these stories aren't being, shared and liked by all of your friends, and only a few of them are posting them, you scroll past the stories like, oh, a conspiracy theory, or I don't want to read that. I don't have time to read that. Or you just simply habitually scroll past to the specific feeds because you're not interested in anything that person has to say. But somehow your psyche is still subliminally reading all of this information. Whether or not you personally scan your eyes over each letter, your subconscious is reading everything that's around you and is absorbing everything that's happening. And from the picture on the wall behind me to the letters on my shirt, your psyche is looking at all of these things. You probably already wondered, what is this next to her? What is she? Like, what's up with her hair? Like, it looks stupid. Well, she has cool hair. It's shaved. Oh my god. Like, what is that behind her? Your psyche, your subconscious is always wandering, and that's the problem. Is because it's wandering, we have no guide. We don't have a shepherd to our sheeple thoughts. Okay? That's about as simple as it gets. If you don't stand for anything, you're going to fall for nothing. Okay? Katy Perry said it in a song. Don't believe me, whatever you want. But I'm just saying that if you don't have something that you firmly stand for, you will fall for anything. Now, you could think you stand for God, and you could think that you don't like Satan. But until Satan comes into your life and you so clearly see his face, and you so clearly hear his words, I promise you that you will be living in hell. Until you can recognize who your master is, you will live in hell. It's not a joke. Hell is a real place. It is a state of mind. People are living these hells. People are living these, alternate realities because they see life differently than we do. They're pessimists and we're the optimists. They're the negatron, and they're just, they're almost hardwired, so to speak, to think negatively and say negative things and not listen to people and be self-centered. Just the way that they're, it's their personality, I guess. A lot of people would say, oh, it's just the way they are. They've never done that. Well, here's a little clue. I used to think I couldn't change. I never, in a million years, could see myself making a YouTube video and actually posting it about my personal beliefs. And even so, to mention talking about God, I don't really think I would. I don't see myself 10 years ago doing that, and I don't see myself 5 years ago doing that. I know that in 2013, when I started my journey to try to find God, I knew that one day I wanted to write a video and help as many people as I could, because I found God, and I found love. And what I want is for the whole world to find God. There's no dark side to him. There isn't. There's not one negative thing about the God that I worship. Of course, that's from my perspective, so you'd have to have your own idea of what God means to you. But the creator of the universe, that's that's who I worship, and the man who, I call him my father in heaven. But this man he's always there for me. And I think he's been there my entire life. But because sometimes I don't see him and I don't think that he's there, I tend to turn my back to him and just say, well, I don't see God right now, so I guess I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. And it's like I almost I take control back in that moment when I have given God control previously. So of course that, that time until I give God back the reins, so to speak, I'm going to mess up. I'm not, I'm not perfect. I am definitely not perfect. And what I think I want to make known is that regardless of who you call your God, right? So if I close my eyes and I pray to God, and in my head I pop up an image of the sun, I want to pray to the sun. That doesn't mean that the creator is the sun, you know? It's just the idea that I have in my head of who he is. Now I could be looking at you and talking right now and be praying to God. And I think that takes some time and practice. However, the idea is that this God that has been preached about in so many religions in so many ways has been almost forget the word I used for it. He's been discredited. Yes, discredited. That's the word I used. As a nation, we have totally discredited God for a lot of things. We used to say one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. But now we say Black Lives Matter. Justice for all. There's something, there's something not right, and I'm willing to find out what's right and what's wrong. And if that means, getting killed by, I laugh because I just don't see it happening. But I think that a lot of people would be scared to make a video like this because they say, oh, well, the elite or the Illuminati. And it's like, I already met them. I almost want to cry talking about them because they're such a high, they have a lot of energy. And a lot of people don't see that, A lot of people don't experience firsthand them, okay? But thank God that you don't, For every time that you say, oh, they're brainwashing you or you're just brainwashed, it's like, while you're saying that, why don't you think about all the blessings that you have in your life and count them and name them one by one? Because one day, while you're pointing the finger at someone else, you're pointing 3 back at yourself. And I believe in the law of karma. So what goes around comes around. But I don't think that karma is even the word to cover what goes around comes around, because I think that is God. However, most people understand it as karma. The laws of the universe. Those are the laws that God has written for us to follow. And man has written these, these other laws that, some of them are for the good. I understand that. But like, tell me why there are rules, prohibiting me from, there's so many rules. I'm just not even gonna get started with what I don't understand, but we're gonna go with what I do understand, okay? So we throughout time, we've made money, right? So I don't know the exact way that money was made, but I would imagine it went something like this. Hey John, can I have some milk? Well, you're always coming over here and asking for milk. Do you have anything in return that I could have? Maybe like a trade or a barter? Yeah, sure. Oh my goodness, I got lots of eggs. So here we go, and I'm going to give you some of my eggs. Now, eventually down the line, you know, something would transpire that these two people no longer want to trade goods. They need something else, something that wouldn't even affect them per se. Something that's like me saying, all right, I'm gonna write on a piece of paper, I owe you $6, okay? Like that's literally what they're doing. They are writing on paper that came from the earth to give this money, I almost want to say money like this, but they're giving people this currency, this value, this dollar, this yen, this euro, this, this object to create more what? Think about what money creates. I think of problems right away. That's the first word that I can think of when it comes to money. More money, more problems, There's a song about that. There's lots of people that believe, the root of money, the root of evil is the love of money. So that, brings us back to the word love. What you love, it's not what you do. It's not, what you say. It's what's inside your heart. So for some people that might be really hard to grasp because you see a lot of really, really bad things happening and you don't understand why. That 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 child, with a bomb strapped to his chest, do you really think that that kid wants to do that? And do you think that if that kid was given, accurate knowledge of the world and the things thereof, do you think that not just the world, I mean the universe. If this kid was told the truth, would he still pick the life he chose? No, I don't. I firmly believe that that's not the case because I don't think that anybody in this world would um, continue in evil and in harm, knowing, you know, that's just like saying, I'm gonna choose to overdose on heroin today, or I'm gonna choose to start. I'm just gonna pick up, like a new hobby. I'm gonna pick up doing heroin. Like one day I might die, but I mean, for the meantime, YOLO. Like a lot of people have this sick mentality of, well, you only live once. Well, yeah, you do only live once, but at the same time, life without death is not life. And without death, there is no life. And without life, there is no death. And there's, this cycle of death that we see in life. And there's this great misconception of what death is. And I think that that's, for another video on another day. I couldn't go into that right now, but the world basically materialized things that shouldn't have been materialized. Now, if you know the Bible, there is a passage in there that talks about Jesus coming into his what was his worship place. There's people gathering all around to worship him, but at the same time, the tax collectors were there, and there's people taking money from the poor, and there was all of these things that were happening the uh, in the world, and just in this one brief, you know, example in the Bible, it's got to show God's deep desire and feeling about the money, taking trees and selling them for money. You are literally taking God and selling them for your material gain. Now, I'm not trying to convict anyone for what you do, but this is a good chance to sit back and look at what you do for work. Okay? Deforestation. That can't keep happening. What do you think is going to happen? All of Earth. Oh my God. Like the whole world. What? You can't. Deforestation is literally the dumbest thing we could ever do to this planet. The dumbest thing. You could get rid of all of the people, but if you don't have the trees, you can never have people again. Okay? These trees are so essential. So essential. Well, we're cutting them down. Now, there are, as I speak, plans and implementations to fix most of these things that I'm talking about. And I think that my job isn't necessarily to go out in the government and fix specific facets of the things I've talked about. However, I think to bring to the general public the attention that needs to be brought to the subject would be great. Now, I know it's been 35 minutes. This is a long video. I'm going to try to wrap it up real quick. So anyways, we got the material and the spirit world. That's the most important. So basically, what you do with your time and your money is your material and spirit world. You've got the ascension of humans. That means we got more understanding. We got more open doors. We got closing of toxic doors. We got self-awareness. And then we've got the most important message of them all, to work on yourself before you try helping anyone else. Basic, simple facts of human ascension. So, what we need as a race, as a human race, we need someone to represent the human race to huge political entities, such as the elite. We need people who are willing to forgive
move on, let go, and love, because love heals all wounds. Now, the thing I really wanna say before I leave this camera right now is that you must believe. Okay, you there is no there is no atheism in life. There is not. Atheism is not existent, non-existent. Atheism is a good cop out, I think, for not accepting and denial. I think that atheism is the first step to admitting there is a God. I think that's what the better choice of words would be. But anyways, so people are afraid of believing, right? Because that leaves the door open, essentially, right? We don't want to be open up to everything. We don't, and that's not what I'm asking people to do. I'm just saying that what we need is um, we need to choose for ourselves what to believe. Um, but just know that it is always God, that God does have his hand in the world. And the closer you get to him, and the more you pray, and the more you meditate, and the more you withdraw, and the more you learn, the closer you can get to him, and the more you will understand why the things happen around you. So I think that the more people that will draw close to God, as some people in the world have, I think that in itself will fix the world. People searching out God, but I understand that the idea of loving, I think the idea of loving something you can't touch has been very, very, very difficult for me. I would love to be able to just put my hands on a statue of some sort and be like, this is the God I worship. But I can't, because faith is the substance of the things unseen. Without faith, there is nothing. There is nothing. I promise you that. Without faith, you have nothing. I could say it till I'm blue. Without faith, there's nothing. And then faith without works is dead, and without sight and faith and all sorts of things that the Bible talks about. I think the most important message that Jesus brings, there's a few of them, to piggyback off of one another. I think that, one is that we are not perfect and we need to accept that. Now, accepting that would be moving on. Moving on to the next step would be loving one another as God has loved us in our imperfection. So loving someone that's unlovable is really the ultimate message of what I'm trying to say. And no matter how hurt you get, and no matter how distraught you get, picking up and carrying on is really what being an American stands for to me. And as a human, representing the human race, I think that this, this knowledge that I have for you is important enough to waste, I don't think waste would be the word, but important enough to spend 40 minutes of your time listening to my ideas. I really appreciate, everybody that has listened to this entire thing from beginning to end. That's simply amazing. And I wish that you could leave a comment or let me know, what you think, what my ideas have inspired in you, and what kinds of things do you want to do moving forward. And I'm open, to anybody of every, all walks of life, as long as you can speak English. But what I want people to know is that I'm here. Hi. If you need help, if you're depressed, if you're sad, I'm here. But don't take advantage of me, because I'll see it, and God will see it. Most importantly, love. I did this video out of love for a lot of people, and I hope that I can trigger some sort of response. But until I make another video, which I'll probably make a lot, because there's so much to learn and there's so much to talk about that I think a lot of people don't want to talk about. So, adios, amigos.